私の名はゴア、地球の征服者だ。
マグマ大使。
Unleashes monster after monster, destroying toy trains, model tanks, and cardboard cities. Who can stop them? How about a 50-foot giant who turns into a rocket, or a kid with a flashing light in his head, or an old man who wanders around a cave and bumps into the walls? Are our heroes any match against Rodak and his cunning Lugo men? Find out the Space Giants on the Superstation.
From the far reaches of outer space comes a threat to planet Earth. Mankind faces its most powerful enemy, the mastermind Rodak. The Space Giants. Goldar, a 50-foot robot, and his electronic space family are created to defend our world.
How are you doing today? I got a little special presentation about monsters. If you're into Godzilla and giant monsters and giant monster movies of the past or present, and you've never heard of this show, this should be of some interest to you. By the way, this is your weird, informative, and hopefully fun time capsule of memories of days gone by as we forge ahead together in a game of life, just like the Milton Bradley board game of life. But right now we're talking about life, specifically pop culture, history, and life experiences that we all have in common. That's what this show, The Nostalgic Podblast, is all about. I'm your host, Chance Bartels. I'm a Gen Xer, and most of you out there that are Gen Xers, or even if you're a boomer, you may remember seeing the show on WTCG, which became WTBS Superstation 17 on basic cable in the USA. Originally, this show was made in Japan, debuting on, of all days, July 4th, 1966. So in this live streamcast, this will be a showcase of every giant monster featured in every episode of this show, which was titled The Space Giants in America. But the original title in Japan is Ambassador Magma. So you'll see each and every monster of that show. And I'll talk about the history of the show in a minute. Let me acknowledge some folks that are watching live. And I like to do this as I say hey to the folks watching live and that are commenting in the chat.
You have a good day today, friends. Yeah. I did.
I had a Superman day.
You had a Superman day? Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Spider-Man day.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. Well, you know what? Wait. You know what time it is? It's time for me to see the friends at home in the magic mirror. Romper bumper, stomper boo, tell me, do. Magic mirror, tell me today, did all my friends have fun at play? All my friends had fun today. I see David's having a special day today, and Olivia Joy had a special day on Sunday. I see Robin had a special day yesterday, and Dana's having a special day today, and so is Reginald and Edward John and Margaret. And I see Justin and Megan and Courtney and Brick and Mark and Rachel and Sheila and Caroline are all having special days, and Cicely and Ashley and Matthew and Jose, and I see Bonnie and Anthony and Joe had special days yesterday, and so did Tammy and Brandon and Gregory, and of course, friends, you know I see you, and I'll see you again.
Hey, I want to say hey to Esmeralda, hey to Kay Moonen in Florida. Esmeralda's in Washington State. Hey to Snarky, Snark and Sash. She is in Arkansas State in the U.S. Hello, of course, to our dear My Flock is Everywhere, Sarah in Southern California. And I want to say hi to Chance Acting Devil. I'm kidding. That's me. I kid, I joke. The Nostalgic Podblast, that's me. That doesn't count. But hey to everybody that's watching. Keebler, of course, one of my wonderful moderators. Keebler, Danger Knows, Sugarcoating Truth is her YouTube channel. She's in Texas State. Hey to you. So I appreciate everyone tuning in. And Kay Moonen is correct, referring to the, let me put her or his comment on the, I'm sorry, forgive me, sir. His comment on the screen about Godzilla. Godzilla! Kay Moonen said, if you don't mind, I'll refer to Godzilla by his proper name of Kojira. in the chat. Very cool, very astute. Well, this shouldn't be too long of a show, but I have a lot of material, a lot of clips, a lot of photos, and some interesting facts. I learned a lot when I prepared for this stream featuring every monster in all 52 episodes of the Space Giants. So let me get back to my little script, and I'm going to correct some things that I saw online that were not accurate. Let me just start with this brief history of the show. Ambassador Magma was the title of the series, and that's also the name of the protagonist of Magma in this TV series created by Osamu Tezuka in Japan. The TV series was produced by P Productions, and it aired on Fuji TV from July 4th, 1966 until June 26th, 1967, lasting for a total of 52 half-hour episodes. And 4 episodes would form a story. So they were like movies. It's like 13 movies that consist of 52 half-hour episodes with cliffhangers like Batman had, starring Adam West. It was the first color tokusatsu TV series in Japan, beating Ultraman to the air by 6 days. It's kind of like the Munsters and the Addams Family here in America, both premiered within days of each other. Addams Family on the ABC television network and the Munsters on the CBS television network. Now, this show, Ambassador Magma, later aired in the USA, dubbed in English by Krantz Films as The Space Giants. Now, the basic plot, there's an alien invader named Goa, Rodak in America, who plots to conquer the Earth. He collects planets, like I collect comic books. And he first warns the Mura family of his coming. And Tom Mura, the father, is a reporter for a worldwide news service. And Rodak wants him to spread the news that Rodak has arrived. And unless you surrender the Earth, he's going to send monster after monster to conquer our planet. And the hero Magma, Ambassador Magma, named Goldar in America, is a 50-foot robot, but he can transform into a Defender rocket. These were the first Transformers, the first Power Rangers. This show was the prototype for all of that. But in the original comic books, he wasn't a true robot. He was a living giant forged from gold, but he's a robot in this show. He also shoots rockets out of a panel located in his chest. And he has, believe it or not, a robotic wife who's normal sized, named Silvar, mole in Japanese, M-O-L, mole. And she also can transform into a rocket. And they can fire also gamma rays from their antenna. And in the second episode, a son is created for the robot family in the image of Tom Mura, the reporter's son, Miko. Now, I'm telling you all this because I'm uploading all 52 episodes. These are in the public domain presently. I'm uploading all 52 episodes weekly on my YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast. So I wanted to show what's ahead and show you some of the monsters and some memorabilia. I am going to talk about Venom K. Moonin. I'm going to have a movie review of Venom 3, The Last Dance. And also I'm going to show you the comic books. I've taken photos of the first appearance, cameo appearances, and the first full appearance of Venom in Amazing Spider-Man. I took pictures of issues 299 and issues 300 respectively. So we'll cover that too after I get through the Space Giants here. Now, continuing on, this is from Wikipedia, so I'm going to correct as I go along. Excuse me while I pause. The Space Giants is the English title of the series. I know I've already said that. The show is most notable for its humanoid robot heroes who responded to crises by transforming into rockets from their base, which is in a volcano. Magma, the Ambassador Magma in Japan, he gets his strength from lava from a volcano. That's why he's named Magma. So they would transform into a rocket to combat a wide variety of dinosaur-like giant space monsters and also faceless ninja-like villains called the Lugo Men. And the Lugo Men can assume the identity of human beings. It's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers with the pod people. But what's cool about the Lugo men is they live in a world of 4 dimensions, and they can go through walls. They can walk through staircases. Walls can't hold them. They have the power of the 4th dimension, which I thought was really cool and sometimes kind of spooky. They can run into an elevator. When someone closes an elevator to get away from them, they go right through the doors in one of the scenes, and they're pretty cool. But they're vulnerable to the gamma rays that the robot rocket family have. And when they get zapped by the gamma rays, they become like a blue ooze when they die. And also the human being they've taken over regains consciousness. The victim is unconscious while the Lugo man who took over the humanoid's body is still alive. And it's so cool when they get shot. I mean, when I was a kid watching this on TBS after school, it would air around 3:30, right before the Flintstones and after Speed Racer on Superstation 17. So I loved watching this show. I would run home to watch it, as did many of my peers, mainly boys. A lot of the girls thought it was stupid, and it was fake, but I liked what they attempted to do. This is, of course, long before CGI. This is 1966, and I'm going to show you some clips in a little bit, and I'm going to unveil a film reel I've not shared on any of my YouTube platforms yet. It's brief. It's like a 7-minute reel of some next week previews, and I want to just say this. One of the guys who did the voice of Goldar, Rodak, and the narrator of the show was in Howard Stern's Private Parts. He played the newsman, Summer Stock. Remember that guy? That was the guy that voiced about half of the series. And it killed me because he was replaced. His name is Paul Hecht. He's an actor and a voice talent. Paul Hecht. He translated these in 1970 for an original release in America and limited release in stations in Pennsylvania State and other places, titled The Monsters from Outer Space. It was before it was retitled The Space Giants. It was titled Monsters from Outer Space. And Paul Hecht voiced, like I said, Goldar, Rodak, and he was also the narrator of the show, and I just loved his voice. Now, there was another actor who took over midway through the show, and I have not been able to find out or learn why Paul Hecht quit the show. But Paul Hecht, you've seen him on Law and Order. You're not going to believe all of the credits I'm about to mention that he was in. I'll show you his picture, too, when I get to that in just a second. But he had just had the best voice. Oh, man, he was in the 3rd episode of Starsky and Hutch playing the DA, the district attorney. I'll show you his picture. Well, I'll go ahead and pull it up right now while I'm thinking about it. This is Paul Hecht. And Paul Hecht, it is in, go to my pictures. There's Paul Hecht. That's the voice of Goldar and Rodak and the narrator of the English version of this show titled The Space Giants. Here's the guy that took over who wasn't quite as good, and his name is Ray Owens. And Ray Owens actually got to do in post-production the introduction that you heard at the top of the show, the 33-second opening, where he talks about Goldar, a 50-foot robot, and his electronic space family are created to defend our world. That's Ray Owens. I wish Paul had gotten to do that. Here he is in Starsky and Hutch. That's the voice of Goldar, Rodak, and the narrator. And I just thought his delivery was better. Ray was a little more exaggerated. Hell, I'll just give you an example right now. I'll play a clip right now. For instance, Paul would narrate also the next week previews to the Space Giants, and most of those were cut from TBS, except for the one for the 2nd episode, which was aired. I remember seeing it at the end of the very first episode of Space Giants. So he was more subtle in his reading, but this guy was an overactor. For instance, Paul would say, "Don't miss the next exciting episode." This guy would say, "Don't miss the next exciting episode." Excuse me. I'll play an example of that right now. In this clip, this is from my 16 millimeter film collection. Nobody has this. I was lucky to find this years ago. And first you'll hear Paul Hecht. And then at the end, I think it ends with Ray with his exclamation about the next episode, which I just attempted to impersonate for you just then. So let's watch this reel. These are just like quick clips. It's about a 7-minute, 41-second long presentation, but it's pretty cool, and you'll get a sense of what this show was like. The color's red. Sorry about that, but it's better than nothing, and it is in English. So let's check it out right now.
Trapped on the strange island of Balangor, occupied by the hostile Lugo men, Miko finds no way of escaping the horror that awaits him. Drax, the hideous monster guarding the valuable Balangor seeds, knows it has Miko, Zamba, and Mary at its mercy. How can they beat the powerful monster when ordinary weapons are useless against it? Mary gets an idea that has never been used as a weapon before. But will music work against the creature, or will it drive the monster into a raging fury that will doom them all? Danger waits at every turn on the mysterious island. Goldar, the Space Avenger, is confronted with his mightiest challenge. For the first time, he will face two monsters simultaneously. Beasts with raging power pit their strength against Goldar. The result turns out to be the greatest battle known to mankind. See for the first time the tremendous clash. Which monster will survive? And will the evil Rodak allow this to happen as he hovers above Earth in his spaceship? Don't miss the next exciting episode. Seeing that Goldar is down, Verdoris takes quick advantage. But Sylvar has followed her husband and realizes that it is only she who can save Goldar from Rodak's evil monster. Will Verdoris attempt to destroy her as well? Or will the monster use her to gain further knowledge of Goldar's weaknesses? Meanwhile, the atomic plant has been short-circuited, and suddenly a danger far worse than any monster is realized by scientists and officials of the city. Time becomes a vital factor, and as the seconds tick off, the danger of a nuclear explosion increases. Is this all a part of Rodak's scheme? Or will this new development be something Rodak himself hadn't anticipated? And what of Miko's plan for freeing Gam and warning Goldar? Will it all be in vain? Does Rodak really have everything under his master control? Don't miss the next exciting episode. In the next episode of Monsters from Outer Space, Miko is taken to the secret hideout of Goldar, the Space Avenger. You have seen a small demonstration of power strong enough to conquer the entire universe. Will Rodak succeed in his scheme to take over Earth? Our first operation will be to send monsters to destroy their cities. In the beginning, we will concentrate our attacks there, in the Northern Hemisphere. As the Earth panics, the archfiend Rodak presses ahead in his attacks, and Earth itself seems doomed. Is there any way to stop Rodak, the creature who already has conquered most of the universe? In the next episode lies the answer. And what of the wire service reporter Ito Mura, who has been given the biggest story in newspaper history? As he seeks further proof of Rodak's power, will his investigation carry him into the jaws of death? The most terrible monster the world has ever seen rampages across a nation as the world trembles. Is this the end of Rodak's evil plan number 7, or only the beginning? Rodak is too smart not to have anticipated trouble, for he also has an alternate move plotted by his advisors, a plan so horrible, even Rodak hesitates using it. Miko becomes the first to be aware of Rodak's intentions, but can he convince the authorities of the impending danger? The monster Renotis, the surprise of plan number 7, has yet to show its most dangerous powers to the people of Earth. Will Goldar be able to defeat this monster without knowledge of the monster's strength? And can Methuselah keep one step ahead of Rodak as the evil mastermind continues to spread panic on the Earth? Don't miss the next exciting episode. Naranda runs wild. Under Rodak's orders, the deadliest of all monsters attacks everything in sight. Can science discover the secret of Naranda's paralyzing ray? People and machines alike are rendered powerless before the creature's might, as Naranda destroys almost everything in its path. Rodak is aware of every movement, knowing at a glance how quickly his evil plan is progressing to conquer the Earth. Who is the mysterious woman that lures Gam and Miko into a trap from which there is no escape? What is her secret power that could lead to the imprisonment of Goldar? See why Miko will be powerless to prevent that from happening. Are the people of the Earth doomed now that the secret weapon to destroy Lugo men was exchanged for a weapon that can destroy the Earth? How much time does man have to survive? As Methuselah himself admitted, there is nothing the wise old wizard can do to stop the invasion of Rodak's strange army from the planet Lugo. Will the Space Avenger be able to stop the rocket in midair? Or will its thrust be too powerful? For the shocking result of the strangest of all challenges, don't miss the next exciting episode.
Goldar, a 50-foot robot, and his electronic space family are created to defend our world. The best scientific minds gather to meet the challenge. Rodak's forces from outer space arrive on Earth in many strange forms.
The mightiest monster the people of Earth have ever seen is summoned by Rodak. An unsuspecting city suddenly becomes the victim of a masterstroke. Rodak demands more violence. At last, Rodak will exercise a plan he hesitated using, as it would mean the end of the Earth. Naranda, the most terrifying of Rodak's collection. Its weapon, sheer strength and enormous size. Will the wise wizard Methuselah think of a defense that can work against Naranda? Once the monster lands on Earth, it will only be a matter of days before the planet is destroyed. Gam has a plan, but will it work? Should it fail, it would unleash a violence in Naranda that might give Goldar his first defeat. Don't miss the next exciting episode.
Well, dang, that wasn't the right reel, because the one I was thinking of, I have another reel, then a third reel. You hear Ray Owens go, "Don't miss the next exciting episode!" And it's just so over the top. I want to say hey to Tracy's Fractured History and More. Hello to you. It's nice to see you. And she asked, "What is that guy? Reminds me of Gene Simmons from Kiss." What is that? Yeah, talking about the Space Giants, I'm going to just show some monsters because I love the monsters in this show. And I was just talking about the American voiced artists that translated the show. And it was part of Peter Fernandez's operation. They're the same people, the same team that did translated Speed Racer for American audiences from Japanese audiences. So about this show, the main conflict of the storyline involved an evil space villain named Rodak who continually tried to conquer Earth by sending new monsters from deep space to attack Japan and New York City. There's an episode that takes place in New York City as well. The stories were generally resolved in 4 episodes, much like the BBC's Doctor Who. And a new monster would be found by Rodak from his collection to begin another 4-part struggle against the Earthlings, as he called us. Rodak's efforts were opposed by an ancient white-bearded wizard named Methuselah, sometimes called Methuselah, and he created a family of robots in humanoid form. They're android-like robots, except for Goldar, the only one that's 50 feet tall. The other 2, his wife and son, were human-sized. And as I said before, anyone who's tuning in late, they could transform into Defender rockets. The human interest in the story was a family of 3, a boy named Miko, his mother Tomoko, and his journalist father Itumura. The family became involved in the story due to the villain Rodak's desire to publish news of his presence to the world media. The Mura family found themselves continually caught in the crossfire of monster attacks and attacks by the Lugo men, who were Rodak's spies and agents of evil. A major subplot in this series developed when Miko's mother was kidnapped by the Lugo men in episode 9 of 52, titled The Terrifying Lugo Men, and she was held in uncertain conditions for many episodes. They didn't know her husband and son, if she were alive or dead, or if she were aboard Rodak's spaceship or what. And spoiler alert, she returns at the end of the Christmas episode. In the first episodes, the robot team were a duo consisting of a 50-foot robot aptly named Goldar and his companion, a silver-clad humanoid female named Silvar. It was implied that they had been created by the Wizard Methuselah, which they were. Early in the series, the Wizard Methuselah completed the team to mirror the Mura family by creating a humanoid rocket boy named Gam in the image of Miko. So they had the same clothing. They literally, in the second episode, put Miko in front of a cosmic mirror, and that helped Methuselah create Gam in his image, complete with a trademark red and white sweater vest. Let me put a picture up for a visual aid, and let me change my camera shot too real quick. See what I'm talking about. Oh, gosh darn it. There we go. That's better. And here is a picture. One moment. Let me get the picture. Gosh darn it. Yeah, here it is. Okay. What you see there, that's the first monster on the left. It's a dinosaur monster, as you can see, a prehistoric monster. What's cool is in the very first episode, Rodak, to mess with the minds of the Mura family, at 6 o'clock in the morning, he instructs Miko, he contacts through a phone call from one of his enemy agents to the Mura family. Rodak will arrive at 6 a.m. Be ready. And what he does, he transforms their neighborhood into prehistoric times with dinosaurs, and it's quite a cool illusion. And there's Rodak, anyone who's watching, above Goldar, and he looks very satanic. I mean, you talk about shoulder pads. He's got like spiked shoulder pads, and as well as devilish eyes. Let's see. Uh-oh. Did my sound goof up again? Let me check something. I got a weird text. Oh, it did. Thank you. Hey, thank you so much for telling me. Thank you. This StreamYard has been goofing up lately. Like last time, I want to apologize. My entire show, practically a 5-hour show, had muffled sound, except for Tom and Al when they came on. Anyway, so thank you so much for texting me, Sarah in Southern California, that StreamYard, when I changed the camera shot, had defaulted to the bad mic. Wow. I got to keep my eye on that. All right. So, I'm almost done with the history of the show, and then I'll show you every monster as promised, and we'll talk about Venom, and we'll look at some comic books. As including the Space Giants comic books, there's 2 of them. So let's see. Yeah. All members of the robot team of Goldar, Silvar, and Gam were capable of transforming into rockets, identified respectively by gold, silver, and red and white colors. Each had bulb-tipped antennae protruding from their heads, capable of discharging directed blasts of gamma rays. Goldar and Silvar were capable of firing missiles from their chest cavities, but Silvar was only shown doing this once when she destroyed Lugomen on a boat. She blew the boat up. A regularly featured plot device was Miko's ability to summon the robots. I haven't mentioned this yet, by blowing a special high-frequency supersonic whistle. Once to summon Gam, twice to summon Silvar, and 3 times to summon Goldar. I already mentioned this, but the first show aired in Japan on July 4th, 1966. And its international title was Space Avenger. One episode was dubbed for international markets, the Christmas episode, as a test. And that actually was original. All right, it was titled Space Avenger. I have it on 16 millimeter film, and I'm going to put that on my channel eventually. That particular version, and then I'm also going to do the aired version from the WTBS WTCG days, the Space Giants days. But I do have that Space Avenger test episode, or pilot, if you will. It's actually the 25th episode of 52, the Christmas episode, and it was titled Space Avenger, dubbed for international markets in English. Originally intended to title it Monsters from Outer Space. You heard that at the end of that preview for the second episode, where that's the only time it wasn't edited out, and the only time that a next week preview aired on TBS was for that second episode. And you heard in the next episode of Monsters from Outer Space, you heard some splices, and that's where they cut it out of later previews. You heard like space or space, you heard like the end, like they cut out the Monsters from Outer Space for the Space Giants run for the stations that did air the previews, but TBS never did, except for the preview for the episode 2. Now, the entire series was dubbed into English by Bernard H. Schulman's Lakeside Television Company, which is a distribution house, and it was syndicated to a number of U.S. television stations in early 1970. I heard it was 1972, so I'm going to correct Wikipedia here. 1972 is what my print sources say is when Space Giants was first distributed to smaller stations, long before it debuted on Superstation 17 WTCG, later WTBS, in 1977, when Star Wars was such a hit. Ted Turner and his people, his program director, were smart, and they scooped up inexpensive, cheap, if you will, programming that dealt with outer space and monsters and things that the kids at the time seemed to be into when Star Wars was such a smash success at the box office, being the #1 film of 1977. Now, according to Wikipedia, in September 1970, these stations, WSNS TV in Chicago and WTAF TV in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, got an initial run of Monsters from Outer Space. Now, the show was not distributed widely to U.S. television stations until the late 1970s, after Star Wars was such a smash success, when it became a staple of Superstation TBS in their afternoon programming lineup. 52 half-hour episodes were made. I know I'm repeating myself, each running 25 minutes. So these were cut to about 22 minutes, 30 seconds for airing on Superstation 17. Our friend of the show, Al Hardy, a founding member of the Nostalgic Podblast, probably did some of the editing and splicing of these episodes. He cut out all the next week trailers that I have in my collection and whatnot. Now, it was a big hit in Spain and in Mexico as well, and it was known in Spanish as Monstruos del Espacio. Monstruos del Espacio. And in some English-speaking countries as Space Avenger. Let's watch a Spanish clip. I think I pulled a Spanish clip of the show, and then we'll get to showing you all the monsters as promised. There's one of them right there. There's Molosaurus. But let's look at a clip of the Space Giants. I want to show you a transformation shot of the Defender rockets turning into robots and vice versa. Let me see. I think. Hang on, let me see.
Space Avenger!
Goldar, the Space Avenger.
Now, let's watch a scene in English with restored video.
Now I want the Earth more than ever.
It is my duty to stop you, and if necessary, destroy you. Is that clear, Rodak?
I accept the challenge, Goldar. It will be most enjoyable.
Goldar!
Ah, Gam and Miko. I'm glad to see that you are both safe.
I tried to get Rodak first, but I was not able to overcome power like that.
You did very well, but a boy your size should not take on too big a job.
I was only wishing that we could.
Maybe it's a good idea Rodak knows I have a papa just like Earthlings. Isn't that right?
Uh-huh.
I see my son likes the Earthlings. Well, at least the city is secure for now. We'll tell the people that they're safe.
Uh-huh. Let's go, Miko. Better hold on tight.
Look, a boy is sitting in that aircraft. That's my boy, I tell you. It's Miko. Miko!
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. This great city is now safe, and the gratitude of our people is evident, and everyone is very relieved.
Did you obtain those statistics?
They're ready, sir.
Good. Let's have a look.
We have concluded that Goldar is 50 feet tall, 14 feet wide, and has a weight of 20 tons.
Idiot!
Isn't that what you wanted, sir?
You're incompetent. Project his outline. When I need his statistics for a local beauty contest, I'll let you know.
What a wise ass Rodak was. You are an idiot. I just loved the voice by Paul Hecht there. All right, and I did find the Spanish scene. I wanted to give you a sample of the English dubbing. So here is a scene in Spanish.
¿Quién es el niño?
Un humano llamado Nico.
¿Él es tu amigo?
Sí.
Hola, ¿cómo te va? ¿Quién es usted?
No tengas miedo. No te va a lastimar. Ella es mi esposa, Silva.
Goldar, no debiste haberlo traído aquí.
Es que no quería entregar las fotos. Y lo traje aquí para ver si cambiaba de idea.
Isn't that cool? So it was a worldwide thing. Here's a 20-second clip of some transformation shots of our heroes transforming into rockets. Let me acknowledge some comments, though. Hello to Xavier. Xavier Azadi says 6 years old back in 1978 to 1979, watching on WTBS in Atlanta after school, the Space Giants. I'm in Atlanta, too, and I did as well. And remember, it was Speed Racer and the Flintstones, that afternoon lineup. Let me just acknowledge some comments. Rodak looks like Gene Simmons from Kiss to me, said Tracy's Fractured History and More. That's pretty funny. Never thought of that. Esmeralda said to Tracy, I must confess, most of these monsters make me giggle. Yeah, they're just giant rubber monsters, dudes in suits, obviously. And Tracy also said, Goldar looks like David Bowie. Yeah. And she also said, I love monsters. Yes. And Tracy said WSNS was channel 44 back home in Chicago. Yes, I know you're in Florida now, but you are from Chicago. I know I'm always interested in your anecdotes about growing up in Chicago. Danny Staten in South Carolina says this show reminds me of Ultraman. Yes, and Ultraman debuted in Japan 6 days after the Space Giants did on July 4th, 1966. That's when the Space Giants debuted in Japan. All right. Tracy also said about my StreamYard glitch. She said StreamYard screwed me over today. I was on Tug's show. Trying to remember the name of his YouTube channel. Tug, The Unapologetic Geek. That's Tug stands for The Unapologetic Geek on YouTube. I was on Tug's show, and it just wouldn't let me use my computer to get on. Instead of StreamYard, I yelled out loud. Wow. That's tough. That sucks. I know, because it was using my computer mic last Sunday when I did a show about the best monsters on television and the Twilight Zone and the Outer Limits and et cetera, et cetera. You could still hear me, but it sounded like crap. Jerry Dobson, watching in the Facebook live stream, says, I hate having writer's block, so I'm here. Yeah, he's writing a novel. Jerry is in Michigan State. Esmeralda said, please leave a like here and also on Chance's other channel, Chance Acting Demo. Thank you so much. She's in Washington State. Tracy said, that's funny. A Japanese Abraham Lincoln. Oh, God, this is great. Let me see here. Okay. Esmeralda had said, I love Dark Shadows for an after-school watching, and it was definitely fake. Sometimes the sets almost fell. Yes, that was a soap opera. That was like, it was a soap opera with vampires, and Al Hardy liked that show as well after school. So, Kay Moonen said, Speed Racer merchandise shockingly doesn't go for too much. You can find the DVDs for quite cheap. Yes, I've got the whole series on DVD. You sure can. I see some Ambassador Magma merchandise behind you. Yes, I'm going to show some later on. I've already gone 47 minutes, so let me try to hurry things along, but let me change the camera shot. Ooh, there's a bad glare. Wait till you see this record I'm going to show. I've taken photos of this stuff. I figured there would be a glare because it's in plastic. And there's a Speed Racer VHS behind it, by the way. But I have them on DVD as well. I think there's 52 episodes of Speed Racer as well. And I have some on 16 millimeter film. Reel to reel. I love that entertainment, Japanese entertainment. There's two of the comic books, the only two comic books of the Space Giants behind me. But came in and also said Amazing Spider-Man number 300 is quite an expensive issue now. They have reprinted the issue. Yeah, I'm selling right now. My eBay channel ends at 7 o'clock tonight Eastern, a copy of Amazing Spider-Man 300. I have 3 copies of that book. And I'm selling one of the originals from January 1988, the first full appearance of Venom. We'll talk about the Venom movie, and I'll show you a review in just a minute. Let me get to some more clips. I'm almost done with the history of the Space Giants. Here's the transformation, 29-second clip showing some transformations of our heroes from robots into rockets. Here's another 20-second clip.
Magma Daichi!
And another brief clip showing more transformations. Oh, gosh.
村上さん、ガレオンが大暴れを始めたので。ガレオン、
ダブル、逃げよう。そうだ、マグマ大将も。
I love that. I thought that was pretty interesting for 1966 technology. All right, let me now. Are you tired of these clips? I'm going to play while I talk about some brief history. There's a guy I found on YouTube some years ago who did a great cover of some of the music. I'll play it in the background while I'm talking. Sometimes this is tricky. Sometimes the music drowns out my voice, but that'd probably be a good thing. But let me try to play some of the music this guy did. And I'll tell you, I want to give credit to this person. His name is Louis Roy. Let me, 1 second. I'm going to tell you about this guy. And there's actually K-Moon in an animated Space Giants from 1993. I have on Laserdisc 13 episodes. The Space Giants returned in Japan anyway as Ambassador Magma as an animated series. And this gentleman, Lou Roy, and his last name is not R-O-Y, it's R-O-I, like return on investment. That's salesman talk. Lou, as in Louis, Lou Roy. This is from his YouTube channel. My name is Lou Roy. I'm a musician and a big fan of television and progressive rock music. I've done home recordings of original television show music throughout the years using various recording platforms. Most of my equipment is Roland/Boss and is very humble. I work with what I have. I have made a hobby of recreating classic but obscure TV music. Sometimes it is the credits, the opening and closing credits theme of a show that I perform, but I also recreate a lot of the incidental music heard throughout the episodes. I am primarily a guitarist, but I use a Nord Electro 3 and a Roland MC-303 for the keyboards and percussion sounds. Sometimes I even pull out my nearly 40-year-old Bundy trumpet and record lines in trumpet. Thank you, Lou Roy. Now let's listen to some of his music. Let me just show you a video of his version of the original Japanese Space Giants. This is just a minute long. Check out his music. Yes, that's very sentimental to me, and I thought he did a pretty good job. That's the Japanese original opening music to the Space Giants. He also did a 30-second cover of the American version of the Space Giants that aired on WTCG Superstation 17, as BK on the air mentioned in chat. It was WTCG, and our friend Al Hardy worked there at WTCG between 1977 and 1991. And of course, it became WTBS. At the very beginning of the show, I played a WTBS promo from my collection, which you can find on YouTube, and with not as good a quality. Someone else had posted it as well. I might as well play it again, and then I'll play it again. It's really brief. It's 30 seconds. Here is this comedic Superstation 17 promo for the Space Giant.
Rodak unleashes monster after monster, destroying toy trains, model tanks, and cardboard cities. Who can stop them? About a 50-foot giant who turns into a rocket, or a kid with a flashing light in his head, an old man who wanders around a cave and bumps into the walls. Are our heroes any match against Rodak and his cunning Lugo men? Find out the Space Giants on the Superstation.
And something I haven't mentioned yet about that promo at the end, there was a fight between this guy, Keto, who worked at the news service that Ito Mora worked at, Miko's father. That's not in the episode. It's in that promo where they're fighting and you see him choking out a Lugoman. And that music, I was like, remember as a kid, I'm like, where is that music from? I never heard it in the show. Years later, I learned that music is from the Next Week American version of the previews. These were based on original Japanese Next Week promos that they dubbed into English, and they added that new musical track, that upbeat dun 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 dun. That is new music scored for the American version of this show. And that scene was an outtake, because I remember that's the Christmas 4-part episode 25, 26, 27, 28, where Keto and the Lugomen at the end of that promo are fighting. It's not in the actual episode. I remember when I got the episodes uncut on Laserdisc, I'm like, damn, I thought that was a cut scene. Where is it? It's an outtake in the preview, which I do have on film. I finally saw that, and you'll see it on my YouTube channel down the line. Okay, let's just play now that 30-second cover for the Space Giants version by Lou Roy. Great job, Lou Roy. I love that. That sounds really cool. I mean, I don't think anyone else has ever done a cover of that. It's not a scorched earth show. I mean, there's not enough about the Space Giants out there in cyberspace or online for that matter. More and more is turning up, and I want to do my part because I loved this show, and I've collected as much memorabilia as I possibly can from it. And I'll share some of that in just a little bit. I'm going to play a little bit of the end credits from Lou Roy of the Space Giants. And then I'll finish my history of Space Giants and show you every monster in this show that I promised. Every giant monster in the Space Giants. I have some nice pictures to share with you. And then we'll get to the Venom Last Dance movie review and other things that we'll talk about today. We've gone an hour, so cool. Here's Lou Roy's cover of the Lakeside TV Space Giants end credits. I'll stop it short because it's pretty repetitive. Tracy said, I love that music. It's cool. I agree. I like the original, and I like these covers that Lou did. Let me I don't think I played this yet. I want to play a clip now that shows the cast then and now of the Space Giant. This is fun. Let's watch.
Magma 大师！
That's pretty cool. I really like that video. Obviously, it's not in English in terms of the text, but you could see the pictures of the actors then and now, and I like that a lot. So let's see where I left off. I learned so much preparing this for you. I mean, I had no idea that the voice of Goldar and Rodak was in Howard Stern's Private Parts, Summer Stock, as the newsman. It's unbelievable. But I want to, let's see, where is it? Let's see where I left off. I've lost my place. I don't want to just repeat the same stuff. Yes. Okay. So I already mentioned 52 episodes were made. I haven't mentioned yet here, there is a conclusion to the storyline. I don't want to spoil it for those that haven't seen it, but you're going to see it on my YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, all 52 episodes. And again, 4 episodes form a 2-hour story. Without commercials, it's like 90 minutes or something. It's 90 minutes of time. And I do 2 episodes per upload. And I try to have the whole story up within that week. Like maybe like the old Adam West Batman, I'll have 2 episodes. And then the next day I'll have the other 2, which concludes that storyline. And then the following week, same format or the same system. I'll have 2 episodes and then the following 2 episodes after that. So, as of late January and early February 2017, so that's some time ago, Bernard Schulman still owned the North American television and home video distribution rights to the Space Giants, the English version, under his Lakeside Television banner. At that time, rumors continued to circulate that the series would be issued on Blu-ray and in a digital HD format for the 50th anniversary of the show in 2016, exclusively produced and distributed through Lakeside Television Company in a joint partnership for production and distribution with the rights owners in Japan. That never happened. The show was released, as you saw, in exceptionally clear visual quality, but in Japanese. They did have other foreign tracks, but no English tracks. The rumor is the English tracks are lost. I don't believe that. Friend of the show, Al Hardy, once had all 52 episodes, half-hour episodes, from the Ted Turner TBS Superstation vault at his home, and he sold them in the 1990s. And there's a lot of tracks that are lost. Here's what happened throughout the years in the bootleg community. Someone got their hands on Betamax recordings from TBS of the Space Giants, and the person that recorded them, either the tape ran out or something went wrong with the tape. There's one episode, episode 7, that's almost all in Japanese. The English tracks are lost, and our friend Al Hardy had that, doggone it. And I wonder where those films went. They were sold to a guy named Tom Hudgens in Virginia State, who has since passed away. He probably sold them, but whoever has those or had them just sat on them, because I've checked eBay almost every day looking for those episodes to buy. No dice, no luck, nada, nothing. So somebody had them. Those English tracks might turn up if Mr. Schulman doesn't have them, just like Jackie Gleason with the lost episodes of the Honeymooners and the hidden episodes of the Honeymooners, as MPI Home Video branded them as. The lost episodes was a branding with Showtime. I'm diverting here, but in 1984, Showtime aired the Honeymooners, the lost episodes for the first time. What those were kinescopes of the live Jackie Gleason show skits of the Honeymooners. And what a kinescope is back in the 50s, they would record a monitor for the studio audience on film. And that's what they would use to show the episodes coast to coast, was through kinescopes. And Jackie Gleason in his film vault had all those skits, most, if not all. Probably all of them. And then some of the films went bad, but he had all of them. There's one that's never been found, Easter hats. It was like the first Easter skit of the Honeymooners in the Jackie Gleason show. I've been looking for that forever, but MPI Home Video released them after the Showtime initial release, and then TBS aired them in half-hour format, and they would edit them down. They would do a 2-parter of the Honeymooners hidden episodes in many cases, so you could see the whole skit, but they would have a long, like, summary, just because they had to time it out, so it'd be 22 minutes without ads per show for TV syndication. And WGN Chicago also aired the Honeymooners lost episodes in syndication starting in 1987 after the initial 1985 MPI Home Video VHS release. So that's an interesting story right there. So I think my point is, my analogy is, just like Jackie Gleason knew exactly where those episodes were, then he had that big press conference in 1984. He used that as a retirement fund, even though he was working in many films long after the Honeymooners. I mean, my gosh, he was in the Hustler with Paul Newman, and he played Jijo, Guy Gott or whatever. And of course, Sheriff Buford T. Justice in the Smokey and the Bandit films, all 3 of those films, by the way. And he was in The Toy, Nothing in Common, his last film with Tom Hanks in 1985. The Great One died in 1987. And anyway, so just like he held on to those all those years. And, ooh, look what I found, at the press conference. Same deal with whoever has the English tracks, like probably Bernard Schulman himself. And you know what? Nobody lives forever. I just don't want these English tracks to get lost. And I've restored many of the English tracks with the next week previews and scenes from the actual episodes themselves that have not been seen since their original airing in the USA back in the late 1970s and early 1980s. I'm doing the best and that's why I did this in 2014. I made these edits. So the visual quality, it's before the Blu-rays were released in Japan. I'll upgrade them when I can, but they're not horrible. But you can tell some are from VHSs. It's got the wavy effect in some cases where it's like a multi-generational copy of the Betamax converted to VHS and whatnot. So I'm doing the best I can. But you'll see all 52 episodes with more English tracks than ever before. The most I could find so far. I want to preserve these the way they were as a kid watching on Superstation WTCG and WTBS 17 out of Atlanta. And a lot of people, as far as California, all over the country could watch them as well that were fortunate enough to have basic cable in those days. Because Ted Turner's Superstation was on most basic cable television packages back then. Little factoid, Ambassador Magma, Goldar, if you will, makes a cameo appearance in the 2004 Astro Boy Omega Factor video game for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, along with a number of other characters created by Osamu Tezuka. Now, real quickly, because I want this to be historically accurate, here's the English version name changes of the characters. In Japan, Magma became Goldar. In England, in English, Mol, M-O-L, became Silvar. Goa became Rodak. Atsushi Murakami became Ito Tamura. Tomoko Murakami became Tomoko Mura. Mamoru Murakami became Miko Mura. Earth became Methuselah, the old man in the cave who created the wonderful robot rocket transformers. Atsuya Sakita became Kido, who was Itomura's assistant, co-reporter, and journalist. And then the Lugo men in Japan were the Madokai men. And I just think it's so cool that Paul Hecht, who translated about half of the Space Giants into English, was also in Howard Stern's Private Parts. Anyone that tuned in late, remember the guy that says, "Oh, I performed in Summer Stock." That's the guy who voiced Goldar. And let me just tell you about some of his other credits, and then we'll move along here. Paul Hecht, I mentioned this earlier. Let's see, his first credit, according to IMDb, he did 4 episodes of Shoestring Theater from 1960 to 1964. He was in Camera 3 in 1 episode, 1967. He was Johnny Cypher in Dimension Zero in 1968, voice work only. He was Centurion in Neither Are We Enemies in 1970. He was the voice narrator in The Selfish Giant in 1971. That was an animated show. Let me just hurry along because I don't want to bore anyone to death here with this. He was in Net Playhouse playing Henry in 1972. He played Lieutenant Harris in Pueblo, a TV movie from 1973. He was Rabbi Isaac Sherman in Only God Knows in 1974. He was Joe Tyler in The Imposter, a TV movie from 1975. Let me just get to something you may have heard of. Well, he was Dr. Samuel Goodman in The Reincarnation of Peter Proud from 1975, but he was in the 3rd episode of Starsky and Hutch playing D.A. Coleman. And that was, let's see the air date of that. That was episode 4. I said 3 earlier. Episode 4 of Starsky and Hutch. He was D.A. Coleman towards the beginning of that episode. I watched it. I because of copyright, I can't play it. I wish I could. But you hear that voice. You can hear Goldar and the narrator more so than Rodak. He did an exaggerated voice when he performed Rodak. Let me see what else. I mean, but more recently, let me just skip ahead. He was in Hawaii Five-0 episode in 1976, playing Varna. He was in Lucan. Remember that show on ABC about the Wolf Boy? He played Miklos in 1 episode of Lucan. Let me see when that aired. It's the pilot. Listen to the Heartbeat. He's in the pilot of Lucan, the guy who voiced Goldar and Rodak and was the narrator of the Space Giants. I'll be darned. Let me skip ahead and scan here what else he was in. He was in the soap opera Another World. He was in Remington Steele playing Ashley Feldman in 1982 in season 1, episode 10, The Steel Trap. Let's see. He was in Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, the original radio drama as the Emperor. How about that? Wow. I have those on tape, official releases of the radio adaptation of Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back. He's the voice of the Emperor. That is so cool. And he had such a great voice. He was in Miami Vice in one episode in 1984 playing Sam Kovacs. This is the voice of Goldar in the second episode of Miami Vice titled Heart of Darkness. He was in Philip Marlowe, Private Eye, 1986. Let me go ahead here. Let's see. He was in One Life to Live playing Dr. Hoffman in 1987. He was in Kate and Alley for 10 episodes playing Charles Lowell. Wow, 10 episodes between 1984 and 1989. Let me find some other stuff. I'm almost done with his little mini biography here. And he's still alive. In Return of the Jedi radio drama, he reprised his voice role as the Emperor. Oh, you want this? And then he played Ross Buckingham, the newsman, in the movie Private Parts in 1997. Talked about that several times. He was in Law and Order Special Victims Unit in 1999 playing Robert Sidarsky. And let me scan on ahead. He was in Queer as Folk in 2004 playing Fenderman for one episode. He was in Law and Order again in 7 episodes between 1991 and 2005, playing 3 different roles in 3 different episodes of Law and Order. And then the last credit is Spells, a video from 2011. But he's still alive, and I think he's one of my favorite voice artists ever in the business. Let me just see. Paul Hecht. See if there's a little bio here. He was born August 11th, 1941 in London, England. All right, that's all I got to say about that. And then the other guy who took over doing the voice of Goldar and Rodak is Ray Owens. I won't go into too much detail. He passed away in 1994, so I didn't like him as well, but he did that opening credit thing, the opening credits of the Space Giants for the U.S. Unfortunately, he narrated, Ray Owens did. The second voice talent, it was the narrator and performer of Goldar and Silvar. Last thing he did, Ray Owens, he did a Matlock episode as Dean Rutledge in 1993 in season 7, episode 4, The Class. He played the Dean in the Matlock, classic Matlock episode, The Class. I'll have to go back and look at that. I have them all on DVD. And of course, streaming. It'd probably be easier to pull it up on Pluto and on demand that episode than pulling out the DVD because I still have that set sealed, but that's besides the point. He was in The Big Bang, not The Big Bang Theory, as Dark Vador, the English version voice. That was in 1987. All right. Anyway, I didn't like him as much. He wasn't horrible, but he was not nearly as good as the original voice of Goldar and Silvar. He did the second half of the series. Yeah. Okay. So he mostly did voice work in cartoons and things. He did the voice of Lex Luthor for 34 episodes of The New Adventures of Superman between 1966 and 1968. That's pretty cool. And he also did additional voices in The Adventures of Batman for 17 episodes between 1968 and 1969. Again, he's the one that it was a little over the top. Going, don't miss the next exciting episode. Okay, that's enough of that. All right, so, and you'll see it. I have a comment from Price Robertson watching on Facebook Live. He said, Krantz Films, which helped bring the Space Giants to the U.S., produced several animated cartoons, including the Marvel superheroes, right, which were adaptations of Tales of Suspense, stories of Captain America and Iron Man, and Tales to Astonish, stories of the Hulk and the Submariner, and then Journey to Mystery stories of Thor. Yes, those classic 1966 cartoons, correct. Krantz Films, which helped bring the Space Giant to the U.S., produced several animated cartoons, including Marvel superheroes. And those, they just showed the panel from the comic book, and they'd like string it along or make the mouth move. It was really not really animation. It was really artwork from the original artists, Jack Kirby and the like, in comic book form. They tried to convert it, and they did, to a cartoon. Okay, and Price also said, P-R-Y-C-E is how you spell his name, that Krantz Films also produced Rocket, Robin Hood, The Wonderful Stories of Professor Kitzel Max, The 2,000-Year-Old Mouse, and the first Spider-Man series with the classic theme. Dun, 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 dun. It also produced the Dark Shadows clone Strange Paradise. Company boss Steve Krantz was married to romance novelist Judith Krantz. Great factoids there. I appreciate it very, very much. Now, I want to play, since I just mentioned this original Spider-Man, I can't play for obvious reasons the song, but here is the in color tag at 6 seconds long for the original Spider-Man 1966 animated show. And I was so happy to see that in the second Spider-Verse movie. They played that, so that's cool. All right. Let's see where we're at with the Space Giants. So I told you about the characters' names in the English version versus the original Japanese version. I can't even pronounce most of the original actors' names. You saw them on the screen earlier, so we'll skip that. Now, the 1993 animated Magma Taishi series. I'm going to show you that really quickly. There's 13 episodes. OVA anime. It was a remake produced in 1993, and the series served as a retelling of the original series, the Space Giants, as it were, if you will. The OVA was produced by Bandai Visual, Tezuka Productions, and Plex, and was directed by Hidehito Uda. And there was also a comic book. Let me show you those Laserdisc really quickly. They're right here behind me. Here are the Space Giants laser. I'm going to try to play the opening credits while I get that down so you don't have to see my big fat butt. I hope this is okay with copyright. This is the one I haven't tested. This is the 1993 Ambassador Magma animated opening credits. Let's watch. So I have the Laserdisc and the VHSs of them. Here's one of them, Ambassador Magma on Laserdisc. I still have 2 Laserdisc players, by the way. I could play these, and I did transfer these to DVDs, but there's another volume, front and back. Look at Rodak's eyes. I didn't mention this on volume 1 there. See behind? I like the way that was drawn. It's kind of cool. And there's another volume of Ambassador Magma, the 1993 animated version of the Space Giants. Here's another. I won't show them all, but this, you see the animated Rodak better there with his fanged teeth. And part of his pointed ears, the points are cut off. Sorry about the glare. There you see him. There you see him. There's Rodak. There's the animated 1993 Rodak. So there's that. Now, let's talk about the comic book briefly, and I'll show you some pictures of the comic book from my collection I took for y'all. And then we'll get to Venom in just a sec. Oh, shoot. I didn't upload it yet. Not a problem. Here's Paul Hick. Hello, Paul Hick's voice. I said that like 8 times now. Okay, I'm uploading a picture of the comic book. It's behind me, though. This was from 1979, this comic. All right, there it is. Let me change my camera shot and I'll tell you about this comic book and show you a little more of the comic book. There. So, in 1979, there was an American comic book publisher, wasn't so well known, FBN, that stood for Fantasy Book Novels. They produced a comic book adaptation of the Space Giants written and drawn by Angel Gabriel and artist Richard Lynn. An adaptation of the first 4 episodes of Ambassador Magma / the Space Giants. Now, in 1993, it says 1994 here in Wikipedia. That's not correct. In 1993, Gabriel did another Space Giants comic book, one-shot comic book published by Boneyard Press. I'm going to show you that too. So let's look at the inside of this comic. Oh, crap. It won't let me. Hang on a second. And then we're going to get to the monsters. My gosh, I still haven't shown the monsters. Let me get to... All right. Any day now. All right, you open up that comic book. There's the back page. I love that shot. And that is something I need to explain. Oh, and someone in chat mentioned the toys. We'll get to that too. I do have some toys. Oh, it was Keebler. She mentioned the Space Giants toys. So here's some of the comic books. Let me take that off and we'll get to the monsters. My gosh, I'm all out of order. You are out of order, sir. Your Honor, he's out of order. Oh, don't fall. Hang on. Uh-oh, don't fall. Don't fall. Please don't fall. I'm talking to Laserdisc like a crazy person. Okay. Stay. Like it's a dog. Stay. Here's the comic book. There's going to be a big time glare. Let me do this camera here. There's my copy of the 1979 comic book. Oh, duh. I have a backing board in there. You can't see the back, but I took a picture of it. And here is the 1993, not 1994 comic book, The Space Giants. With Rodak right there, the villain. He wants to conquer the Earth and the Space Giants. And I took better pictures of those. We'll get back to that in a sec. I think now we should finally show the monsters. That was the headline. I hate to be like a clickbaiter. I should have gotten to this a lot sooner. So let's review the monsters. This is all upcoming on my channel, the Nostalgic Podblast. So this will be brief. And I have some other nostalgia features for you all. Okay, so there's one of my DVDs that I made. All right, so there's the main monster, Rodak, with our hero, Goldar. He can be normal-sized or giant-sized. Now, here's the actor who played Goldar without his mask. Isn't that interesting? And that's from the series. A different actor portrayed him in the pilot. But that's the guy who portrayed him in the regular series. Now, there, of course, is our not-so-friendly Rodak. I like this shot of Rodak. He had a great laugh in the Japanese version and by Paul Hecht in the English version. And there's the actor who also was in Spectre-Man. He played Spectre-Man's boss. Anyone out there that remembers Spectre-Man will remember this actor who was Rodak in all 52 episodes. And that's what he looked like in later years with a mustache. And there's our thumbnail for today. So let's start with the first monster. There's the first monster from episode 1, whom Rodak kills as a demonstration of his power right in front of Ito Tom Mura, and Miko and Tomoko. I think Tomoko could see it from the house. The father and son went off into the woods. Well, actually, the dad went after Miko. Miko went on ahead to see what the heck's going on, into danger. And Tomoko stayed behind at the house. But anyway, there's that monster. Here's Molosaurus. There were different names in Japan versus English. Only one monster maintained the same name in Japan and in the USA. Now that's Mogoness in Japan. And I think he looks like a bunny rabbit when he's moving. Not in that shot, but if you saw the way he moves and his eyes move, he looks like a bunny rabbit. But Molosaurus, like a mole, because he buries himself into the earth. That was the monster featured in the Space Giants episodes 2, 3, and 4. And Rodak blows him up. He puts a bomb in his chest to blow up Tokyo. And Goldar, unbeknownst to Rodak, thanks to Methuselah's help, underground with a big magnetic ray, takes him to the North Pole, and Rodak destroys that monster himself. Here's the monster from episodes 5, 6, 7, 8. Burdoris. I'm sure Sarah in Southern California would like this monster. What does that monster look like to you? Those that like the giant monster Japanese movies in the Godzilla universe, looks a little bit like Rodan, but that's Burdoris. And he never gets killed. He escapes. He flies off into his egg form, his true egg. He hatches from an egg. And then he reverts back to an egg at the end of episode 8. And the egg flies into outer space. So he's the only monster that survives. Now, in the first episode, introduced the Lugo Men, including episode 9, titled The Terrifying Lugo Man in English. That is Phoenix in Japan, Zandosis in the English version, and he can absorb the sound waves from our world, creating havoc, creating accidents. Planes are crashing into each other. Cars and trucks are crashing into each other. By the way, later, I'm going to try to reenact a scene from the Space Giants. We'll see how that goes. There's the terrifying Lugo Men that can assume the identities of anyone. They have the power of the fourth dimension. They can go through walls. They can go through elevator doors. They can go through stairs. They can... Oh, they're just really interesting characters. I've never seen, to my knowledge, any character that could do that could go through walls like that. That's not a ghost anyway. That's a living creature from another world. All right. So in episodes 13, 14, 15, and 16, you had this monster, Terron, who looks like the monster in the first episode, but it's not. This is the heat monster. Aeron is his name in Japan. Terron is the English version's translated version of the name. Look at them side by side. There's the monster from the first episode on the left, and there were modifications for Terron that you see on the right. So there's that monster, those monsters. Now, what's interesting about the next episode, you had this monster, Garyon. Garyon is the Japanese name of this monster. It looks a lot like Molosaurus, like they just put like made him look like an armadillo. Well, that one did look like an armadillo / bunny to me, but it's kind of the same design, but they did modify it to look a little bit different. And that's in episodes, which I'm going to debut on my channel probably today or tomorrow. And that's a great story where Rodak is spreading a disease all over the earth that transforms humans into Lugo Men, and it turns them blue. It turns them blue. And it's a great little storyline, and it features 2 monsters. But that's Garyon. And the interesting thing about this storyline, this would be episodes 17, 18, 19, and 20 of the Space Giants of 52 episodes. They have a different actor playing Gam. This guy was Gam in only 4 episodes. In 17, 18, 19, and 20. I guess the original actor was not available. Just to refresh your memory, here's the original Gam. Very hard to see, but on the bottom right, or bottom lower right of that comic book, that's the original Gam and the Gam in most of the episodes. Then you had what I call Gam 2 in this storyline that featured this monster, Garyon, and then Drox. This is the only monster. That's a publicity shot. That has nothing to do with the episode. Drox is the only Space Giants monster with the same name in Japan as it had in English. That's Drox. And then in the following 4 episodes, you had this monster, Hiranda. Stopgon is his name in Japan, and he could burst into tiny little pieces. And spoiler alert, Methuselah discovers a way to kill this monster is to locate his heart. He can burst into, like I said, it looks like a bunch of little pieces. And the funny thing is his heart looks like a Hershey's Kiss, a silver Hershey's Kiss. And if you destroy his heart, you destroy the monster. Because like Goldar would hit him with rockets and he burst into 1,000 pieces and then he'd reassemble. It's kind of a cool storyline. Then in the next storyline, you had in Japan, Tara Baden named Gorda in English. And in the middle of this 4-part story, you had the change of the voice talents of the narrator Goldar and Silvar from Paul Hecht to Ray Owens, unfortunately. So, and then this episode, in the very first episode of this story, Rodak attacks New York City and he blows up the Empire State Building from his ship. And yes, it looks fake, but he's like,
citizens of New York, I am Rodak. It is my intention to the Earth, but unfortunately, the Space Avengers prevented
To punish you, Atlanteans, I'm going to destroy New York City, and you have Goldar to blame for it. Or words to that effect. So that's Gorda. And then in the next 4-part storyline, the Christmas storyline, you had this monster, Dakota, which in the English version is Vakuma, like a vacuum. And of course, it can fly, and it destroys these planes and a helicopter. And they did make a toy of this creature. Look at the toy with its suction cups. And that reminds me, friend of the show, Danny Cochran, said on the Podblast with Al and I think Tom, he's like, man, they should have made a toy of that supersonic whistle. And actually they did. And I'm going to show you a brief clip. This is in horrible visual quality, and it's very brief, but I want to show you these cool Space Giants toys of Rodak's ship and the whistle in action from this collector right here. And it's 25 seconds long, but it's very bad visual quality. Let's watch. Pretty cool, huh? Let me check my settings now. Okay, we're still good. Let me change my camera shot. I got to get my hands on that toy. That video is from like 12 years ago that I found. I think that's pretty neat. So to Keebler's point, yeah, there's some toys, and I have one of the toys too. Let me continue along, and I'll get to the chat. I promise. I just got to stay on target. Stay on target. Stay on target. We're too close. Stay on target. Little Star Wars reference there. At the end of A New Hope. So there's Gam 2. There's Garyon. There's Drox. And I'm not going to mention the English version monster name because you heard it in my little trailer reel for my 16mm film collection. I actually played where you heard the English version of that monster's name. So go back, rewatch Crew, or if you tuned in late, if you want to see the name of that monster. So in this 4-part storyline, the Christmas one, episodes 25, 26, 27, 28. By the way, episode 25, it's very violent. There was violence that was cut from the American version. They showed drive-by shootings, all sorts of violence, which you will see on my YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, when I get around to it. But also, this is one of the stories that also featured 2 monsters. You also had this one, the Black Giant, Gore, in the English version, but in Japan, he's the Black Giant. And there he is destroying a plane, just like Vakuma did at that same airstrip in Tokyo. You also had this monster, Sasoragius, or Claw in the English version. That's kind of a basic name for a monster. Claw. Let me change my shot so you can see my little fat head. They had this monster. This Goldar beheads this monster with his rockets, but Rodak put a bomb in his head, and it's kind of a cool scene. You'll see it on my channel, The Nostalgic Podblast, when I get around to publishing it. To get even with Rodak, Rodak always gets his comeuppance. Goldar takes his head with the bomb in it and goes, "Rodak, you left this behind. I have something for you," and hurls it at a spaceship, and it explodes. It's kind of a cool little scene. But that is Baruzau. I'm probably mispronouncing that. Baruzasu in Japan. That's the name of that monster. Then you had this one that had a nuclear missile on his back. You could barely see it there, but he had a launcher on his back. That's a Gorania Dillis in the American version. Now let's continue on. That's a Jagira. He's a magnetic monster. He has the power on his little horns in his head. They're like giant magnets. And then I love this monster, Pidora in Japan, Nardo in the English version. And he's as you can see, like a giant flying beetle. And there's little like monsters. I'm only featuring the giant monsters on Space Giants. There's also smaller monsters. There were little plant monsters in this episode. And then this is Imbozu. And in this storyline, towards the end of the Space Giants run, there's a character, a humanoid, who is psychically linked to this monster because a truck ran over his grandson and he wants to get revenge against the humans that killed his grandson. He's even got a scene in the English version. He's like, I will make you pay for killing my dead grandson. You'll see it on my channel, The Nostalgic Podblast. Now here is Canix with a K, Lodi in the English version, another insectoid giant monster in the Space Giants. Then you had another disease-spreading monster, Kendra. And it could regrow its limbs. In its first appearance, Goldar severs his arm at the end of the first episode. Then he grows it back like a reptile. Didn't mention that this is the monster that spread the disease. And the next 4 episodes I'm going to put on my channel, probably today or tomorrow. This monster spreads a disease that attacks the blood vessels of humans, turning them blue. And then they go to a doctor to get cured. And the doctor, who's a Lugoman, turns them into Lugomen, the humans. So there's that one. And then the final monster. This is Garo Gangon, otherwise known as Kono to English-speaking audiences. Kono with a K. And Rodak transfers his consciousness into this creature in one of the battles with Goldar. There you are. There you have it, folks. Oh, and you know what I meant to do? I meant to play the doggone music. Let me see if it even works. Oh, I'm not doing so well today. Let me do this, and I'll get to the chat. Let me see if this works like it used to. Let's see. Come on. Yeah, it's working. It's working. Can you hear me? Check, check, check. Now, we might as well transition to some music here, because all of the main characters had themes. They had musical themes. I'm going to play a brief bit of all the musical themes of the main characters. Rodak had a theme. Now, I found there was a 45 single release of the Goa theme in Japan. The opening is what you'll recognize. The rest is not very good. And the person that translated this from record album to digital did a terrible job. Like their record needle obviously had a bunch of dust on it. It's really muffled. So I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's a 3-minute clip. This is the original Japanese release of the Rodak theme. You'll recognize the opening bars. Let's listen. See, it's not like the version in the show where it went like this. It started with, and then it would go down, out, down, 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 down. That was the Lugoman theme. Let me play that Lugoman theme that I'm referring to. Darn it, I think it's here. Oh, I'm back. Okay. Might as well cover some of the other themes and I'll get back to the chat here. A lot of good comments. Here's the Methuselah theme. He's the wizard in the cave that created our heroes in the space. All right. That's Methuselah's theme. Here is Goldar's theme. That's a little bit more familiar. And then play another one. I mentioned earlier, let me give credit to this guy. Those are reorchestrations. And it's by Mr. Roy, R-O-I, like return on investment. Lou, like Lewis, R-O-I. And I really appreciate those versions that he did, those reorchestrations. Here's Gam's theme. It's only 58 seconds long. I like that. Now, some interesting questions. Yes, Tracy, some of the cast members are still alive. Remember, this was produced in 1966 and 1967 in Japan. And the actor who played Miko is still alive. The actor who played Gam 1 is still alive. And I showed a video at the beginning that shows who's alive and who's not. So, but that was from maybe a year and a half ago. So I need to update that. That's a really good question. And you're right. Tug, the unapologetic geek, says it's interesting how varied the musical styles are in the different themes. Yes, I thought it was really interesting. And I like that music. It's very sentimental to me. And then Xavier said, I remember the monster Gore. It scared me when I saw it as a kid. Yes, it was revealed in a cliffhanger in the middle of the Christmas 4-part story, episodes 25, 26, 27, and 28. And yeah, it was pretty dramatic when Goldar spots Gore, the monster known as the Black Giant in Japan. Let's now see. Did I play Goldar? Yes. I already played the Goldar theme. I want to play the Lugo Man chase theme. It's just 30 seconds. Let's listen. It's very dramatic and familiar music. 48-second clip. I want to play this of Lou Roy's reorchestrations of the incidental music and main themes of the Space Giants, Ambassador Magma, Taishi, or Ambassador Magma in Japan. Here's Crisis, 48 seconds long. Anyone who knows this show will recognize this cue. Now, after I've published all 52 half-hour episodes of the Space Giants, because they're in the public domain, that I re-edited just for you all and for myself back in 2014, rewatch this. It'll make more sense, those that have never heard the show, that took an interest in it and watched it for the first time. But anyone who has watched it will recognize this 48 seconds. It's called Crisis. Oh, where'd it go? There we go. The original's better, but I think that was a pretty good cover. Now I want to play a video while I take a break. This is from another fan of the Space Giants. This is pretty interesting. It's got a lot of photos in it. This guy is probably someone my age, maybe a little older. He mispronounces the name Rodak in it, but it's still from the heart. And his video was called Space Giants, My First Pop Culture Love. It's 6 minutes long, so I can take a break. I think you'll really enjoy this, and I'll be right back with you, and we'll talk about some other stuff coming up. But I want to do my impression of Rodak with some lost in translation scenes that I actually had a Japanese woman come over to my home and translate for me. And I'll play the scene, and I'll have my mic going. I'm going to try to impersonate Rodak and Goldar in a scene coming up, which is only like a minute long, so it won't be too lengthy. I'll try to use my reverb. Hope it works out. It's an experiment. I didn't rehearse this. But now let's look at this. Another Space Giants fan who was a child at the time. Space Giants, My First Pop Culture Love.
From the far reaches of outer space comes a threat to planet Earth. Mankind faces its most powerful enemy, the mastermind Rodak. The Space Giants.
jet bomber carrying one. I want you to steal that plane.
Yes, Rodak.
Growing up, I was really unaware of Japanese TV shows. But around the age of 7, maybe 8, I found myself transformed into a world that I had real no understanding of. Thanks to a odd 305 time slot and a new network called TBS, I saw my first glance of a world not just outside of the southern U.S. The show I would learn years later was called Ambassador of Magna. But what I grew up on was a show that was dubbed over from its Japanese release and re-edited to a more American audience. What kids in Japan grew up on, I and many kids my age grew up on the same show but called Space Giant.
The Space Giant. Goldar, a 50-foot robot, and his electronic space family are created to defend our world.
This was my first TV show that I could remember as a kid that I fell in love with. It was a show for me. It wasn't something my parents watched or I was forced to watch along with them. It wasn't even something my brother was a fan of, so I became a fan of it also. This was my show, and thanks to the lead star of the show, a boy about my same age, it was a show that I felt was aimed for me. Over the years, I couldn't really recall much about this show. I didn't remember any of the storylines or any of the major episodes. But what stuck with me for years to come stayed with me from my childhood to my adulthood. The evil Rodak was, as a kid, one of the most terrifying things on afternoon television. Even if his mouth didn't move. Even as a kid, I could tell this was a guy in a suit. He was pure evil. And it didn't help much that he looked like one of the worst evil teachers of my school. Along with Rodak, to help him take over the world, were his ninja-like troopers called Lugu Men. These fighters for Rodak were turned into green slime when they died, leaving my young mind to wonder, were they people or just some kind of evil warrior created by Rodak? Rodak each week will unleash a monster on the city in hopes of taking it over, but thanks to a young boy hero named Miko, Rodak's plan never worked out. Miko was given a whistle by an old wizard who lived inside of a volcano. Blowing his whistle, he could summon the help of 3 transforming heroes. With just one blow, a young boy named Gam, who looked a lot like the hero of the show, would transform into a rocket and come to his aid. If he blew on the whistle 2 times, Gam's mother, Silvar, would transform into a rocket to come and help. And if times really got bad, the young boy would blow on the whistle 3 times to bring the father, Goldar, to help fight the evil scheme of Rodak.
I called Goldar Gam.
Now I think there were some toys from this show released in Japan, but as a kid, I didn't see any in the US, and what I wanted more than anything in the world during this time was one of those rocket whistles. Still to this day, I would love to have one. This show quickly went out of my life as quickly as it came into it. Either I stopped watching it or it went off TBS not long after I fell in love with it. It seemed like I was only into this show for about a year. As I grew older, I almost forgot all about the show, other than the names and some small details. Throughout the 80s, I never saw anything about the show or even heard anyone talking about it. It wasn't until the late 90s, while out at a convention, I found an old VHS bootleg of the show. This homemade box, the cheap VHS tape, it was clear this was no official release and recorded off TV back when it aired on TBS. I slammed down $20 for a chance to take home a show that I loved as a child and I was ready to love again. Once back home, after popping in the VHS into my VCR, I sat back and I quickly learned, you can't go back to your childhood. This show wasn't the show I had built up in my mind. It was not the greatest battle for freedom on television I thought it was. It was bad effects. It had a hard to follow storyline. It was cheesy. It was cheap. I never got why kids in the 90s loved the Power Rangers. But once I saw Space Giants as an adult, I understand why kids growing up in the 90s loved the Power Rangers, as this show was kind of the Power Rangers of the 70s. Now I understand why kids like something that would look so cheesy and cheap, like the Power Rangers. Watching this show as an adult, I can't get into it the way I did as a kid. I can still love it for the memories it gave me. But now I can see the faults that I didn't see as a kid. But this show wasn't aimed for the adult me. It wasn't aimed for the young man closing in on 30. It was aimed for the 11-year-old boy who could overlook the dubbing audio, the cheesy effects, and the weak storyline. There's a charm and love for this show that most people couldn't understand, if they didn't see it with their young eyes in the late 70s. Space Giants might not be the classic I remember, but it's a part of my childhood just as much as a Darth Vader action figure or a mixed up Rubik's Cube. Well, in the comments below, let me know, did you watch Space Giants? What did you think about it? And as always, please thumb up my video so I know you like my content, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back again soon.
Junkman.
Thank you, Junkman. I thought that was great, and I concur, except I like the effects. I know they're like little, as it said in the promo from TBS, they're toy tanks and cardboard cities, but I still liked it a lot. Okay, so let's see. K Moonan's back. Yeah, I haven't gotten to Venom yet. I'm about to play that. I'm just seeing where I'm at. I'm going to now play another musical cue from Lou Roy. The Lugo Doctor. This is going to be seen in my next upload of the Space Giants, episodes 17, 18, 19, and 20. All four of those half-hour shows form a giant 2-hour story without commercials, more like 90 minutes. And this contains the Lugo Man Doctor that converts human beings into Lugo people, Lugo men. Let's listen to the theme of the Lugo Doctor. Pretty cool stuff. Okay, so let me see what other Space Giants thing I had for you in the video side of things. What is this?
日が暮れやかわいいガムも眠くなる優しいママに抱かれて夢は宇宙をゆらゆらゆらりゆららガムガムゆらりゆららガムガム優しいママに抱かれてゆらりゆららガムガム宇宙のちびっこガムガムかわいいロケットガムガム風を切り雲を越えぐんぐんスピードガムガムマグマのちびっこガムガムかわいいロケットガムガム笛が鳴る星が飛ぶきっと空ゆくガムガム
That was a 45 single record release in Japan, and I love the images contained. You saw some Japanese memorabilia and merchandising. And I want to say hi to Pizza. Put his comment on the screen. Pizza 33 is here. Hello. Hello, Pizza. Thanks for tuning in. Pizza says there is a great show called Jiban. Wow, what's that about? I'll look it up. Wow. So I don't think I showed you images of these monsters. I've shown you all the giant monsters and the space giants, but I know I showed you the Lugo Men. Here's the leader of the Lugo Men. This guy is one of the aliens. He gets destroyed in episode 12. Spoiler alert, but I've already debuted it on my YouTube channel, The Nostalgic Podblast. Uncut, unedited, with an English track. This is the Lugo person that took over Miko's mother's identity. And he was discovered at the end of episode 9 of the Space Giants. And he gets his, but I thought that was a cool little mask, cool little TV monster right there. So, you know what I need to do, though? Is show the comic book. I promised I'd show the inside of the comic book. I did show you this part of the comic book from 1979. Let me see. Let me upload another photograph. I'm like maxed out on photos. It's a long story. I showed you the Vakuma toy. I can delete that. Let me just do some deleting. All right, there's some more photos from the inside of the comic book. Isn't that kind of cool? And that's one of the times when Rodak became 50 feet tall like Goldar. That's a publicity shot, but he actually did so in an episode. There's the back cover of the comic book from 1979 that we talked about earlier. And there's the comic book from 1993, not 1994. Look at that cover. You open it up, and there's what you see. That's the one from Boneyard Press. They published that comic book. I'm going slow so you can take a look at it. Anyone that's watching on a television can see it a lot larger than on a phone. And there's one of the monsters in it. Danny Staten in South Carolina would like that monster from Planet X. Kind of cool. Now I want to show you. I'm uploading pictures. I only have 3 more pictures to upload here. And then we'll get back on track and we'll talk about the new Venom movie, Venom: The Last Dance, and something that happened on Wheel of Fortune. Now, this is interesting. This is in my collection. This is a 45 record album that was released by a punk rock band. This has nothing to do with the Space Giants except for the image of Goldar. But he's purple there. He was miscolored. Misappropriated. They misappropriated his color. What the hell? How could you do that to Goldar? I'll show you the back cover of that 45 record. It's right behind me on the shelf, but I didn't want there to be a glare and all that jazz. But I got it at Book Nook here in Georgia. Look at the band. They look pretty scary themselves. They look like Lugo people. There's the band. Giant robot rock and roll. Okay. Now I think we're finally ready. Let's see here. Ready to move on to something else beyond Space Giants in just a sec. I'm just trying to scan and make sure I've shown all the images I wanted to pertaining to Space Giants and all the videos. Let me get to my video section. I'm going to play one more piece of music from Lou Roy. This is Honduras theme. This is the last piece of music I'm going to play from the Space Giants. It's 1 minute, 41 seconds long. This is Honduras theme. This was a human gangster, an American gangster. Rodak teamed up with the mob in one of the stories. It'll be on my channel. And Haronda had gotten H-bombs. He stole them from the U.S. government. And so hydrogen bombs. And this is Haronda's theme. He's a bald, probably like 55 years old, maybe 60 years old. He's up there. He's a human. American actor's playing this guy, Haronda. He's a gangster that teams up with Rodak. And this is Haronda's theme. And he has all these goons, these gangsters working under him. So that's the end of the Space Giants. I want to say thanks to Mr. Roy for all of that great music. Keep it coming. Hopefully he'll do some more reorchestrations. There's more Space Giants music than that, but he did a fantastic job. Now, the last Space Giants thing I'm going to do is try to perform my impersonation of Rodak with some lost English. This is just 1 minute long. I got my sides here, as it were, handwritten sides that I wrote down when Akiko was here. She's moved to Japan. I scared her off. No, but she was here and she translated for me some lost English tracks from a very dramatic scene where Goldar and Rodak are fighting. So I'm going to try. Let me get ready. Where is it? It's here. It's on this side. Okay. I'm going to perform Rodak I'm gonna do the best I can. Hopefully this will work. So let's watch this clip. And I'll do the best I can. Hopefully this will work technically. Here we go.
Attention! Earthlings were just located at the training center.
Earthlings? Catch them, whoever they are.
Check.
Are you hurt? I'm okay.
Huh? What's this?
Oh, the whistle.
Get them!
Now that you know what operation is going on here, the two of you must be destroyed immediately. This training center is something that no Earthling must ever know about. It is to your misfortune that you have discovered it. Destroy them!
Are you ready, Rodak?
I'm in the area.
So have I, Rodak. Ready?
Though you are my enemy, you are mighty! How is it possible for stupid Earthlings to make a great rocket like you? How is it possible for stupid Earthlings to make a great rocket like you? The childlike power you have makes me laugh! Show your real power! I'm gonna show you what I can do! What if? I got this from the planet Venus! I will turn you into scrap metal!
I can't run anymore! Don't mind me! Just run! Gam, take care of her! You're about to see the Lugomen turn into blue ooze. My timing was off with the Rodak reading there.
Let's go!
Father, you saved us! We could have been killed!
それが地球を守ることなのだよ。
はい。大変よ。
Yes.
日本が大変なのよ。グアの命令でカイジアルが暴れているの。
I'll attend to that immediately.
Please let me assist.
Stay here, Gam.
Oh, why?
I want you and Miko to destroy this entire training center. Make sure it can never be used again. Can you do that?
Certainly, Goldar. Right, Miko? We'll sure try.
Good. Gam, I'll let your mother know that you're all right.
I know my timing was off. I should have practiced that better to have the lines of Rodak sync up better, but I did the best I could. All right, so I think we're about ready to move on to another nostalgic topic. Let's see, Beyond the Space Giants. But there were some comments. These clips are so cheesy, said Joe Gutfeld. No trivia tonight. I saw your comment. Nope, not doing trivia. Music and Fun said, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. SS is here. Xavier's still here. I remember when Xavier Azadi said, am I pronouncing Azadi right? Or is it Azadi? Azadi, let me know. Xavier said, I remember when I was in Los Angeles back in 2002 and 2003. I visited Los Angeles in 2002 and in 2007. Anyway, let me start over. Xavier, I remember when I was in Los Angeles back in 2002 and 2003, I was in Little Tokyo. I seen Space Giants Laserdisc. Also seen some Shogun Warriors toys. Very cool. And K Moonin had asked, do I find many Space Giants and Ambassador Magma items out in the wild? I seldom ever do, but I look for it, but it's very rare. Those are very rare items. Oh, Keebler said too much echo. Hard to understand what you're saying. Well, let's do it again. No, I'm kidding. I'll do it another time. I did that for effects. Go Dodgers. Yeah, I can't stand the Yankees. And they're up, of course, 2-0 as we're live. Let's see here. And they play game 3 tomorrow night, Monday night, as we're live. Let me see if there's any other comments I missed. Yes, because I addressed that one. And let me look at my photos and clips just to make sure I didn't leave off any Space Giant stuff. I have this clip. What is this? Hang on. That's the original opening that I've played several times, so I will cut that one short. And I'm going to now do... I just love the sound of that Rodak theme, those musical notes. One more time. Okay, now I can delete that. Let me look at my pictures, and we're going to talk about Venom. That's the next topic, Venom. Okay, let's see here. Let me go to pictures. There's Goldar Unmasked. I'm going to put this on my channel after I've uploaded all 52 episodes. I have an unaired version of the pilot. You saw his face in the unaired pilot, the actor playing Goldar in the pilot just one time, and then he was recast, but he didn't have a mask, and that's what Goldar looked like in the unaired version of the pilot. I always get a kick out of that. So let me see here. And we'll get back, by the way, to Every Issue Ever Made, my series. I do every other week. I'm behind. I need to pick up with another Marvel Comics series or DC Comics that I own every issue of. I've already done the Ghost Rider. Perfect for Halloween season. There's the first issue from my collection of Ghost Rider #1. I guess now would be a good time to transition to another topic. I want to talk about this really briefly. Something funny happened on Wheel of Fortune. This sweet real estate agent from Kentucky was on for Halloween week, and she got an expression wrong. She meant to say, at Halloween, them kids come out in droves. And she said, Halloween time, them kids, they just come out in groves. She said groves instead of droves. I'm going to play audio of that while I show you her picture. Let's listen to her make that little mistake. She was nervous, but she goes, them kids, they come out in groves. No, it's droves. Let's listen.
Yes. Well, you dress.
Hang on.
And Shannon Hunt from Scottsville, Kentucky. Yes. Well, you dress up, but you dress up in a certain way all the time, Shannon, right?
I like to keep it positive. I do. Me and my husband, we compete in our real estate office does a competition. Mm-hmm. And we pick characters like Gilligan and Mary Ann and Elvis and Priscilla. Just keep it happy.
And I hear Main Street's like a scene out of a movie for Halloween.
Oh, in Smiths Grove, Kentucky, it is. It's so quaint, and the kids come out in groves
I love that.
to trick or treat.
Well, great to have you with us tonight. Good luck, Shannon.
Thank you.
And Milton.
Okay, I mean, her town has grove in it. She was nervous. She got confused. It's no big deal. I just thought it was funny. She didn't say them. I did that just for poops and giggles, but those kids, they come out in groves. She meant to say droves. Okay. By the way, I think Ryan Seacrest, who's also from the Atlanta, Georgia area, is doing a fantastic job as host. He's so good with the contestants. I think he does a fantastic job. Okay. Finally, we can talk about this guy, Venom. That's the first appearance of Venom. Let me just play a movie review of Venom, The Last Dance, starring Tom Hardy. I know Kay Moonen, if he's still out there, was waiting for this. Our man on the street, our man in the cinema, JT, saw it, and here's his review of Venom, The Last Dance now.
This is Movie Reviews by JT, and I got another review for you, Venom, The Last Dance, the final film in the Venom trilogy, and it was disappointing. And I didn't really like Venom, The Last Dance. I thought the plot was very weak. It didn't really serve up really too much. Wasn't as good as the last two movies I enjoyed, Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage. And the two post-credit scenes, they're fine. And you see Tom Hardy reprise his role as Eddie Brock, Venom. And that's when the movie comes on, jumping around different universes and everything, and talking to this bartender, and they had this villain named Null, who created some of the symbiotes, wanted some of the other symbiotes on Earth back, and sending this creature down, and everything. We also had Chiwetel Ejiofor, he plays a general. He also had Juno Tempo, who plays his doctor. Michelle Williams do not return as Annie in this third film. Her and Dr. Dan are not in Venom The Last Dance. And there were some moments in Venom The Last Dance I did enjoy, some of the scenes and stuff, but the movie overall is not great. It's just a letdown, and I was disappointed by it. And It didn't really do anything for me, really. It just didn't have the excitement that the last two Venom movies had and everything. I was sitting in the theater enjoying myself watching the last two films. This one, not too much and everything. And it was disappointing. Everything. I give Venom The Last Dance a B-. You plan on seeing Venom The Last Dance in theaters this weekend and everything, and it's up to you to make and everything. And if you enjoy the last two Venom movies, you want to see Venom The Last Dance and everything, but it's not really a great movie and everything. So that's my review for Venom, The Last Dance. All right, bye.
Thank you, JT. Hopefully he's gotten the popcorn that I sent him by now. Thanks for that review. Hey, if you're still out there, Mr. Gutfeld, did you get the cards from your last trivia win? Let me know. Yeah, I'm not doing trivia. I can't go that long tonight. I will next time, Friday night. I hope to be back unless duty calls. That's why I was sick with a cold a couple Fridays ago, and then last Friday I was busy working on something, but I should be back to my regular Friday night schedule at 7 p.m., but I will feature some trivia for prizes at that time. So sorry about that. Now, what else did I want to do for y'all? Let's see. Y'all, I sound like such a hillbilly. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I want to show you Venom, the comic book, the very first appearance of Venom. Let's do some comic book history. K Moonin, if you're still out there, I think you'll appreciate this. You've been patient. Right now. Yeah, there we go. Good. Here's the first full appearance of Venom in Amazing Spider-Man issue number 300. This was released on January 12th, 1988. But before that, he'd made cameo appearances. And right now on eBay, this ends at 7 o'clock tonight. It's 5:43 p.m. was live, and at 7 p.m. Eastern time, this ends. I'm offering bonus copies that I have in my collection of these books. And look, on the left, my name's Chance Bartels, your host of the Nostalgic Podblast. There was a villain named Chance, and there he is on the issue number 299 of The Amazing Spider-Man. Let's take a look at that issue, which was out on December 8th, 1987. There's one of the cameo appearances. Todd McFarlane, the artist and creator of Venom, he says to him, this issue is the actual first appearance of Venom, not issue 300, but issue 299. And there he is confronting Mary Jane Parker. She'd already married Peter Parker in June of 1987 in Amazing Spider-Man Annual 21, I want to say. There's his first appearance in a splash page at the end. And he's revealed. But the origin of this character, he was an alien symbiote that we first saw in Amazing Spider-Man issue 252 way back in 1984. About 3.5 years before this book was published. And then the origin of the symbiote, which is an alien creature that attached itself to Peter Parker's body in Secret Wars issue number 8. And there's that issue, which I'm also offering tonight. This isn't a commercial, but that's from 1984, August of 84. But it was a prequel because in Amazing Spider-Man issue 252 and then Marvel Team Up issue 141, you saw the costume and Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man, before you knew what was going on. Let me explain really quickly. One issue, Spider-Man's in this classic blue and red costume. Then the next, bam, out of nowhere is this black costume. And we're not told, we don't know where it came from, what it's about. We do know about the Secret Wars miniseries, which is a 12-issue miniseries from 1984. And there's going to be a movie loosely based on it, Avengers Secret Wars, in the next several years by the MCU and Disney. But that's the first origin story of that costume where you saw the alien symbiote parasite attach itself to Peter Parker's body. And Peter Parker thought it was a good thing at the time. So that's months after Amazing Spider-Man 252 was published. So that sort of became Venom. Thanks to Todd McFarlane's additional characterization. So let's open up the first full appearance of this comic book. There's page 1, and you can see Mary Jane Watson Parker is cowering in fear at what she saw. There's the next couple pages. I'll go quickly here. And by the way, if I do this on my audio platforms, if you want to see what I'm talking about, it's so simple. Just go to the Nostalgic Podblast YouTube channel and look for the image of monsters and Goldar and Rodak. You may not know who those characters are, but just look for Japanese looking monsters, kind of rubber monsters, cheesy monsters, as Mr. Gutfeld said in chat. And then look for that thumbnail in the live tab, and you'll click that, and then you can watch the video and skim through it. And I'll have some cue marks to get right to the comic book section after I've finished talking about the space giants. Another way, all you have to do to find my YouTube channel, by the way, if you're listening, is to Google search The Nostalgic Podblast. That's 3 words, and it's not nostalgia, it's nostalgic. The Nostalgic Podblast. And then you'll see the YouTube channel right at the top of your search. And then you click that, and you can subscribe or not. You don't have to watch my videos and my live streamcasts, but they'll be right there in the live tab. And that's how you do it. Or you can go to the Facebook group, The Nostalgic Podblast on Facebook, and you don't have to join. And even if you do want to join or subscribe, there's no cost to you. It's just you'll get an alert whenever I'm live doing another show or uploading a new Space Giants episode or something else. But continuing on with this comic, there's pages 2 and 3. And then look at this. I call this the sexy Mary Jane ooh la la art section by Todd McFarlane in Amazing Spider-Man 300, which was a double-sized issue, by the way. And then here's Eddie Brock. We first saw this guy in live action in Spider-Man 3, directed by Sam Raimi. A lot of people didn't like it. I liked it okay. When was it released? In 2005? Let me look that up. I should have written that in my notes. But Eddie Brock, different character. He was a photographer at the Daily Bugle in the movie. He's a little bit different in the comic books, but let me see here. 2007. Okay, 2007 was shot in 2006. That's what I was thinking of. Spider-Man 3 released in 2007 in movie theaters on May 4th. May the 4th be with you, 2007. And I liked that movie. People trashed it just like they trashed X3, X-Men 3, The Last Stand, which I like that one as well, but I digress. So let's show more of this issue. This is from my actual copy that's on eBay now. There's the center fold of that issue where the fight begins. There's a nice shot of Eddie Brock. Continuing on, I love the artwork by Todd McFarlane, who now makes toys and has for some time. Created Spawn. I mean, he's just a superstar in the comic book and toy universes. Very cool stuff. He's Canadian originally. Let me show more of this issue here for those that are listening. Bear with me. And then at the end of issue 300, after 4 years, Peter Parker dons his classic costume once again. And there it is. And again, this had a May 1988 cover date, but it was actually released on January 12th, 1988, just after the holidays. There you are. So let me look at what my auctions. Oh, and also I already mentioned this, but I also am offering. I have all these in one lot, by the way. The cameo appearance, which is Todd McFarlane, his opinion, the first true appearance of Venom in issue 299 of Amazing Spider-Man, then issue 300, the classic issue with the classic cover, and then 301, all in one lot auction. Let me check where the prices are. Before I went live, I did a screenshot. The triple lot was up to $365. Then I have a lot of Secret Wars issue 8, which is the origin of the alien symbiote costume, along with Marvel Team Up 141. That's up to $202.50. And then I have some non-key, as they are known to collectors, issues of Amazing Spider-Man, but they're all Todd McFarlane drawn issues in the McFarlane classic era. Issues 303, 304, 305, 307, and 308. That's up to $26. That was then. Let me quickly look and see how they're doing now. Let me see if there's a clip I can play. I don't want to just talk about my eBay. It's like, oh, I do want to do this. I can do this while last time my mic, there's a StreamYard glitch and my mic got cut off, and I was telling the story about this Outer Limits episode, The Invisibles. And in that episode, there's like a infiltration of the government by aliens, and they have these alien crabs they attach to the back of people. And this actor, Don Gordon, plays a secret agent who infiltrates this organization, The Invisibles, and they try to put that crab on his back. There's actor Don Gordon right there. Now, does this actor look familiar to you? That is Neil Hamilton, who later played Commissioner Gordon in Adam West's Batman. And there's a scene where Spain is the agent, the good guy right there, played by Don Gordon. He's been hired as a chauffeur for the wife, played by Dee Hartford. And I didn't mention this. Richard Dawson has a small speaking role, a co-starring role in that episode, The Invisibles of season 1 of The Outer Limits. And you can find The Outer Limits on Pluto TV on demand for free. I didn't mention that. I mentioned they might be on Amazon Prime. They're not. They're on MGM streaming service, but you can see it for free on Pluto TV. Al Hardy told me. So anyway, in this scene, he's possessed by the alien parasite, kind of like, Venom. That's where I'm going with this. That's why it ties in. I want to do this with my reverb effect. He loses his concentration holding the gun on our hero Spain, and he leans back in his chair and goes. Oh yes, master! Oh master! and it's just a bizarre scene. And you have to watch it to appreciate it. And you'll also appreciate Richard Dawson before Hogan's Heroes with his British accent on display in a small role. And Dee Hartford, who plays his wife, who's a good person. She's not been taken over by the alien crab monsters. She later played Verda, the robot, in Lost in Space, the classic Lost in Space, starting with the android machine in season 2 of that show. And then she played a different character in season 3, and she returned as Verda later in season 2 in Revolt of the Android, season 2 of classic Lost in Space. Okay, so I guess we can start to wrap the show. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I covered the Wheel of Fortune thing in Groves. Oh, I didn't mention this. Look who appeared on Friday, October 25th, 2024. I don't want to date the show. You know I love Space 1999. Classic sci-fi show. Barbara Bain, seen there, appeared. She's 93, and there she is with a fan at the Chiller Theater Convention in New Jersey, looking great. And there she is with a happy fan. I wanted to go, but duty called. I couldn't get away. Hopefully I'll meet her again. She's 93. God bless her. Great actor. She was in the original Mission Impossible, playing Cinnamon, of course. But there she is, and I wish her all the best and a long life, and I hope to meet her one day. There's Barbara Bain. I love that autograph picture, so I'm glad I could mention that. She's there now signing autographs as we're live. It's probably about to wrap, though. Anyone that might be watching that is in the New Jersey area, head on down there quickly. I'm kidding. It's way too late. Came in and says, I'll say it again. That crab alien looks like the effects of pollution on wildlife, like the three-eyed fish in The Simpsons. Yes, and as I said then, I'm going to upload Spectreman, all episodes of Spectreman, which is from the same production company as Space Giants, but in the early 1970s, heavily influenced by the success of the Planet of the Apes movies by 20th Century Fox. You had Dr. Gory, who was trying to pollute the Earth. He was like a Rodak, but he looked more like an ape, and he had like this white hair. And that was actually it was a cautionary show. The main thing, they always have like a little, a thing at the beginning of the show, a preamble, where they warned the viewers about the threats of pollution on the environment. You'll see it if you've not seen Spectreman. Look it up on YouTube. I'm gonna upload those after Space Giants, and you'll dig it. Every monster is like a pollution monster, and again, there's hilarious dialogue from Dr. Gory and his assistant, a giant ape. I mean, you're going to dig it. I'm telling you, if you've not seen Spectreman, and I think you're pretty young, you're probably in your 20s or something, you probably never even heard of it, but I think you'll really like it. Thank you, Keebler. She's slinging links for everybody. Thanks for sharing people's links that participated in this. And Kay Moonen said, there's a lot that can go wrong with the Secret Wars movie, considering how much will be going on. Yeah, I think it's going to be completely different. And Keebler said to you, Kay Moonen, spoiler alert, they had an ending where it might not be the last one. Oh, about Venom. Yeah, I mean, money talks. Tom Hardy might sign another deal. You never know. Or it might, hey, it can attach itself to anybody. It'd be easy to have a new actor starring in a new Venom movie by Sony. So I haven't watched it yet, so I can't give a review. I was just teasing. I wanted to get to JT. JT's the man, isn't he, with his reviews, his details? I kid, I joke. I really like him. I'm laughing with him, not at him, honestly. I just think it's funny and everything. You know, he says that like 5 times in his review. I get tickled by it. I think he's funny. I almost said cute. He's funny. Keebler had said about Venom: The Last Dance. I just watched it the other night. It's all right, but nothing to get excited over. And Kay Moonen said to Keebler, yeah, that's what I've heard. What a shame that even Venom can't get a good last movie. But it may not be the last. That's what Keebler was saying there. Okay, that already read that comment out of order. Sorry about no trivia, but check out Thrash Pondo Pons. He does trivia, not for prizes, Mr. Gutfeld, but you seem to be watching on Facebook. It's funny how some people that are on YouTube will not do Facebook or any other social media, and vice versa with Facebook. They won't do YouTube. It's like, why not do it all? YouTube's great, but I would recommend on YouTube Thrash Pondo Pons if you're into trivia. Mr. Gutfeld, I think you'll like him, and he's every Sunday night at 7:30, I believe, for just about an hour. 7:30, 8:30. He's very brief and he's consistent. 7:30 to 8:30, and he does trivia and he talks to the people in chat. No clips or anything, and that's okay. That's not his bag. But I think you would like that. Oh, Keebler says, Chance, you went live too early. I'm still having. That's because I got a packed week ahead, a packed week behind me. I had things going on last night. I had to jet home and do this. So at least I could sneak in a show this week. I don't want to be slack like I was all summer long, going every other week or sometimes skipping out. All right, so let me sign off with another Space Giants video, and we'll say goodnight. So thanks to everybody in the chat who popped on. I really appreciate it. Appreciate the comments. Thanks for those that watched that didn't necessarily comment. Appreciate you being here, and we'll be back hopefully Friday night to our regular schedule of 7 to 7:30 p.m. Friday night Eastern time. That's in the East Coast. Hoping to get back to that. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. This is Chance Bartels signing off. Good night.
I am talking about the weekend. Yes, I am. My mind is buzzing. You like dancing? Yes, I do. 'Cause you gotta make the best of life while you're young. Good people, we can do just what you wanna do. We can, when all those working days are through. We can, yeah. We can, you know it's time to get away. Hear everybody say we can, Saturday night, feeling just right, making new friends. Lazy Sunday, every Monday is my weekend. Yes, it's you gotta make the best of life while you're young. Right now, we can jump into my shiny car. We can, let's go down to my favorite bar. We can, yeah. We can, I'm spending all my hard-earned pay on the weekend, on crazy nights and lazy days. We can. Let's go! Like I'm talking about, to the drive-in with all your girlfriends. You miss the whole show. But you gotta make the best of life while you're young. Listen, people, weekend. I'm watching all the people play on the weekend. I want to hear everybody say weekend. Hey, yeah, weekend. Weekend now, baby. When all those working days are through, weekend.
Happy weekend, everybody. Enjoy the rest of it. Thanks for tuning in. And I did want to mention our friends at Remind Magazine real quick before I sign off for real this time. I can't say it's the new issue because I have the issue after this. The Christmas issue is already out, but I don't feel like I want to publish that just yet. It's a little early for that. This is the October 2024 issue with Frankenstein, Boris Karloff's Frankenstein right on the cover. And I want to mention how easy it is to give a whole year of Remind Magazine for just $12, including tax, including postage. Just go to remindmagazine.com and please mention the Nostalgic Podblast when you order. It would make a great birthday present. It would make a great gift to yourself if you're into nostalgia. And the odds are, if you're watching or listening to the Nostalgic Podblast, you are into nostalgia. Well, Remind Magazine, their wheelhouse is the 1950s through the 1990s in terms of trivia quizzes, classic comics, brain-teasing puzzles, and much, much more. Interviews with your favorite stars. It's just like the old days when you'd get a magazine in the mail. You get 10 issues a year. That includes 2 double-sized issues. And the first year is just $12. If you renew, it's only $24. And the cover price is $5.99 an issue plus tax. So that's a heck of a deal. What can you get for $12 a month, much less $12 for the entire year? All you have to do, again, is go to remindmagazine.com, or you can call Old School at this phone number, 855-773-6463. That's 855-773-6463. And a kind order specialist will assist you in processing your Remind subscription. Give the gift of Remind. They'll think of you all year long and think that you spent a heck of a lot more than just $12. That's a great holiday gift, great birthday gift. Remind Magazine. Thanks to them and thanks to you. And now I finally will sign the heck out of cheer. I played this at the beginning. We're going to play it again because I want to come full circle with our friends at the Space Giants television show, a nostalgic treat. So, good night, friends.